Yo, 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 what is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for Tuesday, August 8th of 2023. The Lionsgate. Although I'm not really going to talk too much about the Lionsgate, because in my opinion, the Lionsgate already happened. That was when Venus went retrograde in Leo and the Sun opposed Pluto before going into Leo. That was the big moment, I feel personally. So you can agree with me, you can disagree with me, but I really feel like that was the big moment. So that was 2 weeks ago, you know. But today we do have some interesting energies. We have some building up energy, right? So of course we do start the day off with the third quarter square after the moon conjuncted Jupiter in Taurus. We do have the third quarter square of the moon to the sun here at 15 degrees. 1 plus 5 is 6. So this is the number of Venus. So this is definitely about, especially with the moon being here in the decan ruled by Mercury, can you, and the sun being in the decan ruled by Jupiter, and the moon being with Jupiter right here, and the moon is exalted. This is actually a pretty nice square. This is not really a super, super challenging square. The most challenging thing about this square is whether or not you really trust yourself and whether or not you believe in your own value and believe that by you bringing that value to the world, that you will be received well by others. That's really where the challenge is here. Do you have the courage and the bravery to really express your creativity and your passion and your love, bringing that to the world? Do you really believe in that? Do you really believe in your value? Here's the other thing too. I was thinking about it last night too, with the whole Jupiter being a Taurus thing, especially with it being in the decan ruled by Mercury. I've been saying that this is like the farmer, right? Kind of being, the farmer on the farm, and it's been pretty. It's like chill. There's another aspect of Taurus too. That's bullfighting, and like that's the thing with Jupiter too. Jupiter is of course looking for some sort of like excitement. Jupiter is. It's all about foreign destinations. It's about the travel. It's about the journey, and there's certainly this element here, especially with it being in this decade of Mercury. It's like there's a bullfighting element here too, but it's like, do you have the courage and the bravery and know your worth to be able to get into that ring with that bull and survive? I think there's a lot of things where, there's a lot of times where, when we're exalting ourselves and we're wanting to bring ourselves to another level, it's sort of like we end up facing that bull in that ring, and it can be scary too. Or this can be like the running of the bulls that they do. Was it like, is it somewhere in Italy, right, where they do like the running of the bulls and shit? So there's an element of that too, especially with the sun squaring all this energy. It's like the bull itself can be in many ways the doubts, and it could be the fears, if you will, of like, oh no, you're not worthy, you can't do this thing, let me impale you with these fucking horns. And then you got to be like, you have to trust yourself, you have to trust your skills and trust how far you've come to kind of get out the way. And then you also, of course, have to communicate to that bull as well. You have to outsmart that bull. You have to be, intellectual. You have to take on this sort of genius-like quality as well. So, so we have that square with the moon to the sun. And like I said, Monday was a day where it could have been eerily quiet. At least, I mean, here in Georgia, my day was somewhat quiet outside of the storms. It was kind of weird. Like it stormed and then it was sunny, and then it stormed and then it was sunny, and then it was fine at the end of the day. It was very weird. We had like a whole like slew of storms that came through like the East Coast and stuff. So um, but like I said, it was an eerily quiet day. Nothing like super crazy happened. Today might pop off a little bit more, like I said, with the square to the sun. And of course, the moon will be coming to Uranus. But here's the other thing, beloved. You have Venus here in Leo retrograding. And then, of course, you have Uranus moving forward, and their square is tightening as well. So we can also feel that, with Uranus being here in the decan of Saturn, Venus here in the decan of Mars, we can definitely feel this tightening energy, this tightening square where it's like Venus, of course, wants to feel beautiful, wants to feel love, wants to feel the creativity and the passion here. But she's retrograde, so she's going through a bit of a review period. Uranus, this is like, this is like things coming out of left field, with it being in this decan ruled by Saturn, and Saturn's here in Pisces as well. This is definitely spiritual things that are coming out of left field. Like, we're talking like, this is the sort of energy where like your guides are going to be like, they'll probably tell you something and then you'll be like, wait, what? Like, they're going to drop like some major truth bombs here, and it's going to be like, how are you going to respond to it when this does eventually happen? It's going to be at 22. I want to say it's going to be at 22 degrees. It might be at 23 degrees, but it's going to be straddling this 22, 23 degrees. But it's going to come down to the belonging energy. It's going to be sort of almost like a kickback to the Aquarius full moon that we had not too long ago. So this square is like, hey Leo, how you doing, buddy? This square is going to definitely be the major energy that we're going to start to feel tighten. Like I said, we did have the sun square Jupiter, but that square is going to be loosening. But then it's like we dealt with that square. Now we deal with like a tightening square of Venus and Uranus. So that's going to be certainly an interesting energy to deal with. You got to remember, Venus naturally rules Taurus, and it rules Libra as well. Uranus rules Aquarius. So they already kind of square each other in a sense. You know what I mean? As far as like their energies are already kind of challenging. But if you take the Venus and Libra aspect of it too, there's definitely going to be this element where Venus is trying to look for some sort of balance and harmony when it comes to this thing, and then Uranus is always like, it's always thinking like way out there. It's always thinking of the things that you don't think of. The way that the mind of an just talk to your average Aquarius. The way that their mind works, the way that they come to their conclusions, it does seem like it takes these interesting pathways that you just really wouldn't have thought of, but they're able to get to the destination still. And I think it really just comes down to, we are all unique. We are all unique. We are all divine sparks of this infinite creation, and we are co-creators. This is going to come down to, especially, like I said, once these energies square each other, which I want to say is going to be at 22 degrees, and we can like kind of jump forward to see when exactly that's going to be. But I think it's like towards the end of the day, then the moon's going to meet up with Uranus here at 22 degrees. So it'll be 7:40 p.m. You're going to feel this energy tightening throughout the day, while Venus will be at 23:11. So yeah, it's going to happen at 22 degrees. This has to deal with belonging. This has to do with mirroring. This is going to be a pretty emotional square that we have, especially when the moon meets up with it, which is already emotional. The good thing about it is that at least the moon is in Taurus and it's going to feel grounded. It'd be one thing if this was like Cancer Libra. That'd be a whole nother thing. But because this is Leo Taurus, it's going to be a little bit different. It looks like the moon is grounded and it's exalted in Taurus, but it's a very grounding kind of energy. So we can actually, this is the sort of energy where it is sort of like lightning, but the lightning, it goes into the ground and the ground absorbs it, and then it's able to dispel all of that intense emotion and all of that it's able to dispel all of that overactive energy, if you will. It's able to discharge it. I guess that's the right word, right? Trying to think of the right word for what it would be like. But yeah, it will sort of discharge it, if you will, when that moon meeting up at Uranus. It's always an emotion that's going to come out of left field. But being that it's in Taurus, it's going to take on a grounding element. Being that it's also Saturn, there's definitely going to be some sort of lesson that comes in. This is sort of also the moment where you may feel yourself kind of time jumping, especially with, Saturn being in Pisces and being in the decan ruled by Neptune, and Neptune's here as well. Moon over Uranus can definitely feel like you're time skipping. This could be emotions that are coming. You can start feeling emotions that you felt like 5 to 10 years ago that really may come out of left field, but with it squaring Venus, it's going to bring up this element where it's like, oh shit, you know, am I actually worthy? You may think of that one person that told you that you couldn't do something like 10 years ago and you forgot about them, and that shit can just come up randomly today. Maybe you're scrolling on Facebook and you happen to come across their profile, and just coming across their profile was enough to trigger the chain reaction of you remembering them telling you that you couldn't do shit or you couldn't do something. And then you got to deal with that emotion. And then you got to deal with that squaring energy. But note that the emotion itself can pass. The emotion will pass. It's water. It'll pass. It won't last forever. And like I said, it's beautiful, and it's a blessing that we have the moon in Taurus here, because when it comes to these sort of things as they come up, and this is like, and here's the thing about those Venus Uranus squares. Venus squared Uranus when it was going forward, it's going to square it going backwards, and it's going to square it again. Same thing with Jupiter. So we're dealing with these Venus, Jupiter, and Uranus squares, and it's going to be bouncing back and forth between these sort of energies. So this is the second pass, if you will. This is really definitely a big test on whether or not we can still put ourselves out there, even though our value may seem a little bit different. It may seem a little bit out there and weird. Some of you guys, for real, are so worried about whether or not you're going to be accepted by other people. But I would say to just seriously just go for it. And I'm having to learn this lesson myself, but to seriously just go for it. And then you're wondering about money and then finances, of course, because this is Taurus energy and we are dealing with Venus here as well. But the money will flow to you once you really accept and appreciate, right? To give more value to your money. The money will flow once you appreciate yourself. You bring it up. It's not about depreciation, it's about appreciation. This is the moment where, seriously, how they say, like, when you buy a car, that the moment that you drive it off the lot, it starts to depreciate in value. That we should have the mentality that as soon as we get out of bed, we appreciate in value. That as soon as we get out of bed, we appreciate in value. That is an amazing mentality to have, right? You wake up and it's like you seize the day, no matter what you're doing. Now, it does help if you are doing something that you love, that you enjoy, something that allows you to be creative, something that is spiritual in nature. You know what I mean? And spiritual nature doesn't mean that everyone has to be a yoga teacher or a crystal healer or a yogi or a magi or a whatever. That doesn't necessarily have to be that. You can still do, you can still work an office job and be spiritual. You can still do these things and be spiritual. But it's about, being that beacon of light, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what you're doing, no matter who you're surrounded with, but being that beacon and just knowing that you are a co-creator in this universe and that you can manifest your reality. Waking up and knowing that and just having that on your mind, on your heart, that's how you appreciate and value, and then that's how things will come to you more. That's how opportunities will come. That's how more money will come. That's how the right relationships will come, be them romantic, friends, platonic. That's how everything will come to you. That's not going to say that it doesn't come without its challenges. I think one of the things that one of the issues in the spiritual community is that, like, we talk about positivity and positive vibes only, and I'm like, yo, that's actually leading people into a dark place, because once they experience a negative vibration or a negative emotion, they don't know how to deal with it. They become repulsed to it. They become like, ugh, why would I? It was like they become repulsed to that energy. And here's the thing: you have to accept those energies as well, accepting the negative emotions and the negative vibes as well. Acceptance doesn't mean that it takes hold in you and it stays with you. It just means that you accept the full rainbow of emotions that we experience when we incarnate into this dimension, right? And as above, so below. You think that your guides and your angels aren't experiencing negative vibes or negative emotions? Because they are too. They just go about it in a different way. They go about processing it in a different way, in a more evolved way, if you will, right? So don't run away from the negative emotions. Don't run away from the challenges because they are there to help you grow and to become stronger, right? We can, of course, always have good vibes, and that's the thing about this. Uranus is about the vibe, you know what I mean? It rules Aquarius, right? Look at this. It's two sine waves on top of each other. This is probably, I'm telling you guys, this is probably one of the most esoteric symbols in the entire zodiac. Is this right here? It's two sine waves on top of each other. It's talking about the vibration. It's talking about the frequency. It's talking about belonging. It's talking about whether you match, if you will, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe. Like, so when this moon comes on top of Uranus and squares this Venus, it's definitely going to it's definitely going to be a bit of a challenge because, we are really wanting to be received well by the world, especially with Uranus here in these last degrees of Taurus. You know what I'm saying? We definitely want to be received well by others, but we also have to accept and embrace our unique quirkiness. And by accepting our unique quirkiness and then putting that out there, that's how, excuse me, that's how you're going to really make a difference and make an impact in this world, because it's true, it's authentic. You know what I'm saying? In many ways, you kind of have to go to those places. And sometimes you have to go to those inner worlds and those far out places to kind of find yourself, because there's so much, there's so many people talking out here. There's so many people publishing their opinions out here. There's so much people out here talking about whatever, whether it's current events, whether it's just whatever their craft is. Sometimes you have to just kind of drown out all of that noise, or music too, and you have to go within and find your own inner song and your own inner music, right? So, like I said, I want to say that this it's probably gonna be more of a tomorrow aspect, but yeah, it is a tomorrow aspect where that um Venus will square Uranus. It's gonna look like it's gonna start tomorrow, and the moon's gonna be right here at the edge of Taurus. So that's gonna be interesting. It'll be King Kunxing over to the South Node, sextiling, well, semi-sextiling the North Node, and it'll trine, of course, Pluto. But then that's exactly when this square happens. So we're, like I said, we're building up to the Venus-Uranus square, and being that the moon, like I said, it's more of a tomorrow aspect, being that the moon will be right here at the edge of Taurus. Once again, it kind of brings up this edgy kind of energy. This edgy energy always seems to come up when the exact aspects happen. Why? Because this moon is going to be sextiling the area that the sun was at when it opposed Pluto and Venus retrograded, right? So, and Venus was at 28 degrees of Leo. So it brings up this edgy energy. So I think it's interesting how it'd be one thing if these weren't exactly squaring, but the fact that they're exactly squaring and the moon is going to be at the spot, it definitely sort of brings it back up. Whenever you look at astrology, you have to look at the layering aspects. It's not just so much that, oh yeah, so the moon is going to be on Mars today, so you may feel a little riled up and shit. Like, when the moon was in Aries and then that whole thing in Montgomery, Alabama happened, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised, especially with it going over Chiron. I'm not surprised too. Like, it's like emotions were definitely heavy. They're fired up. People were trying to assert what people. There was, Aries is kind of like villain energy, right? People were asserting that they don't have to do certain things, even though someone was just trying to do their job and shit. And then freaking beautiful chaos ensued. That's what I'll call it. Beautiful chaos ensued. Even though there's a part of me that is saddened to see what happened, there's a part of me that's also like, fuck yeah, fuck around, find out. You got what was coming to you. That was classic Moon and Aries on top of Chiron. It was so classic, But you have to look, as I said, you have to look at the layeric aspect of astrology, and then it really starts to like it really starts to like, the flower of it starts to really open up. You can see all the beautiful petals and the beautiful details of everything too. So, like I said, today though, building up to the Venus and Uranus square. We have, of course, the moon, which is going to be squaring the sun as well, starting off the day. So there's going to be the challenge of like, are we really going to bring that unique self forward and really feel into that unique self? It's really wanting to come out and to play and to show itself. And we may be like, oh, you're kind of weird though, but it is that weirdness that's going to actually free you. It's going to actually give you the freedom that you are looking for. So let's go ahead and get into the cards. I had some mad technical difficulties before filming this. Like I just I don't know what was going on. I had to like adjust some things. I had to unplug this, plug that back in, and unplug this, plug that back in. It was crazy. I was like, yo, what is going on? I'm thinking like I had to buy like a new webcam. Like it's like that's the last thing I wanted to have to do. So, but yeah. Anyways, let's see what the cards have to say for today. What the cards have to say for today. All right, my friends. Wow, look at that. I don't even feel like I need to draw another card because we got the card of the sun. So like I said, whenever you are in doubt, go back to the sun and find out where the sun is. Well, sun is in Leo. Express yourself, creativity, your passion, your love, unabashedly, without any care. Shine, even if people cast clouds on you, even if people cast rain on you, even if people cast hurricanes on you, and tsunami energy and hail. Shine anyways. The sun is always shining. It's always shining, no matter what kind of weather people try and cast on you to weather you down, to depreciate who you are and your value. Shine anyways. Be obnoxious with it. Be obnoxious with it. So I'm saying, I love that. But I'm not even going to draw another card. Normally I draw 3 tarot cards. I'm not even going to draw another card because I don't have to. It's that kind of energy. I don't even have to draw another card. Oh, shoot. It's interesting. So normally I draw 3 tarot cards, right? And 1 oracle card. 3 oracle cards just fell out, and I only drew 1 tarot card. So let's see what we got. Oh my goodness, we have the card of remembrance. Didn't I just say that something was going to come up that made you remember something? We have the card of remembrance. Then we also have the card of fertility. And then we also have the card of transition. Remembrance, fertility, and transition. Remembrance, fertility, and transition. Interesting. So remembrance, the number is 38 on here. That reduces to 11, which reduces to 2. Fertility is 9, and then transition is 7. Anyways, yeah, something is going to cause you to remember something. Yeah, it's going to come up. It's going to cause you to remember something. Maybe a moment where someone doubted you. Someone doubted your creativity. Someone doubted your vision, if you will. You have to trust. I think once you remember that thing, you kind of go to, especially if you are, if you've really been working on your path and stuff, you're going to realize just how fertile this dream actually is. And then you go into the transition period. Now, the transition period is going to be the tough part because it's going to be like, well, now that I am fertile and I have all of this energy, that I'm really ready to kind of bring this creativity and really, express my joy for this, now I go through the transition. It's like, okay, now how do I make this like a reality? That's going to be the difficult part because it's going to be uncomfortable and you may have to go against the grain a little bit. You may have to go against, yeah. So you want to go against your comfort a little bit. It's going to get you outside of your comfort zone. Remembering this thing that maybe back then you weren't necessarily ready to express yourself, but now that you are and you're realizing just how fertile this energy is and this self of you, this this inner self is, because you have been nurturing it over the course of the last 3-5 years or so. Now that you are ready, now comes the transition, because like, okay, are you strong enough and do you have the courage enough to move fully into that space? Because when you transition here, that means that some things are going to have to fall away. Some things are going to change. You're going to have to give up some things. There's going to be a level of sacrifice here, but it's going to be through that sacrifice that we attain that feeling that we are kind of chasing, that feeling that everything's all right, that feeling that this is where I'm supposed to be. This is where I truly belong. This is where I can do the spiritual work. It's not going to necessarily be the easiest transition, but it will most certainly be worth it. That is going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. And if you like a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. And as always, y'all take care, stay blessed, have a wonderful Lionsgate Portal Tuesday. And I'll see y'all tonight when I do the tarot reports for the 12 signs. I'll be going live. So be sure to tune in, and we're going to have a good time. Y'all take care. Stay blessed. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.